welcome to Love Talk. I'm Gregory Morgan, and it's good to be back after a protracted period away from the stage and doing live shows. I love being back with you. I love doing these shows, and thank you for staying tuned in if you're tuned in now. And I have a lot of new things that I want to tell you about, and then we'll talk about some of the things that have come up for us in our work and embrace growth with regards to people's understandings and misunderstandings about what real personal development, real change, real transformation actually is. And so it occurs to me that people are viewing something, that brand new idea, through the lenses or the eyes of something that is given to them from the past. Therefore, they cannot imagine a future in which those filters or lenses no longer exist. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and how do we actually go about doing that, and what you could look forward to if you were to participate in some of our workshops, our private sessions, and our seminars and so forth. And right now we're doing several of them all over the world, and so we're very excited about that at Embrace Growth, and so I'll be sharing that with you as well. Okay, for those of you who are watching the show for the very first time, I'm the co-founder of Embrace Growth, along with my wife, Dr. Izita Sayan, who does a show called Donya Yesh, which you must know. I'm going to talk with you today about the difference between transformation, which is a deep personal re-identification of yourself. It's a reorienting of yourself in so that you no longer see yourself as you used to, and therefore your past no longer appears to you from the same perspective. You can no longer see your past through those old eyes. Oh, you could if you wanted to, but you wouldn't, right? And your future looks entirely different, because who you are being in the present moment, your identity has shifted on such a fundamental level that I'm going to assert you could not go back. All right? The Tibetans the Buddhists have a saying, you can never step in the same river twice, because that water's gone. So you can never go back to a way that you have been when you were constrained once you are truly liberated. And there is a huge difference between liberation and freedom. Okay, so a lot of people are experiencing a lack of freedom, not realizing that there is a liberation, a liberty that's involved with that is attainable through personal transformation. So we're going to talk about personal transformation, your personal transformation, your personal self-realization. When self-realization gets tossed around like it's a little ad word or something, as if it were something that you knew what it was. But I assert that, like many of the words that we toss around, we hear them in songs, or we see them in advertising or whatever, like love, for example, that we've never truly examined for ourselves, for yourself, for myself. People live their entire life using language and words that is symbolic or representational without any true connection or to what it actually means, where the word actually came from. What is it? How does that resonate, and what does it actually mean in your life? So when I say the words self-realization, I break it down because the self is something that perhaps you may have never even experienced, your true self. Or maybe you have for those brief moments in time, maybe in an emergency or in a very intense situation where suddenly the true you really came out in all of its power and beauty. And for that moment, you were truly and authentically yourself. But then that tends to fade back into your conditioned way of being. That's not your real self, and you know that, and I do too. And everybody else knows it. Most people are just pretending or making a presentation of who we would like everybody else to think we are. We have what I call a social mask. one way that you present yourself to the rest of the world because you want to be viewed that way, because it gives you more personal, perhaps prestige or status, or protects you from something, or helps defend you against some inner weakness that you may feel or worry about or doubt. So we present a stronger, more wealthier, healthier, vibrant presentation of ourselves than maybe we actually feel inside. And for some of you, you may present a poorer image of yourself than you actually feel inside. And so a lot of really beautiful women often will dress themselves down, not in the Persian culture so much, but sometimes people will dress themselves down because they get way too much attention because they're way too good looking, or they're very charismatic, so they will actually sort of try not to appear so charismatic. So that's not most people's problem. So when we talk about self-realization, we talk about those moments in your life when you fully realized who you are. How could you then take that into a fully realized life, a fully expressed life? If that true self of you, that one that you have flashes or insights of from time to time, how could that one be the one that is presented to the world? How could that one, that true one, the self with a capital S, be the one that you actually live in and feel comfortable in? And it just feels right to you, like your favorite set of clothes. And you wouldn't even consider going back to any other way. So that's what I'm pointing to when I say in transformation and self-realization, you couldn't go back to the old way. Why? Because it would be like going back to your old house that you moved away from a long time ago and starting to wear all of the old clothes that you used to wear and the old shoes that you used to wear and walk around and be called by the same old name that you used to 20 years ago or 10 years ago or however long, and pretending to be something that you're not because you've outgrown that. You're not that anymore. So when I say you couldn't go back, well, yeah, you could, but it wouldn't be you anymore. That's what I mean. So technically, you couldn't. Because the you that you will become in a transformational experience, which is what we are providing at Embrace Growth. We are providing experiences in which it is beyond just a happy, cool, energizing moment where you get pumped up and then you go home and you become like you used to be. That's not what we're aiming at, because I personally have been to decades and decades in my own lifetime of those kinds of experiences where I got all pumped up and I was great and everything like that. And then, I found out after a few months or a year or so forth, I kind of went back to the old way that I used to be because it felt more natural or more real to me. That's just who I kind of fell back into being. We call it default programming. It's the program you came with and that you grew out of, you grow into, but then at one moment in your life, you grow out of it in a transformational workshop. But in another kind of workshop or seminars where you sort of get pumped up, and many of you may have had these kind of experiences, either in therapy or in religion or in seminars or workshops that you may have experienced throughout your life, or educational programs. You may have sort of gotten pumped up, learned a lot of things about yourself, felt like, oh, this is it, I really know what I'm doing now. Now my whole life is going to change, only to find out that you had some of the same problems over and over that you've always had. And you had the same limitations in your ability to deal with them. Maybe you had notebooks full of great notes that you took at these workshops where, maybe you went back to your notes and you went, oh yeah, or maybe you made a poster and you put it on your wall, or you posted on Facebook famous quotes from people that said really wise sounding things. However, you were the same old you that you've always been, only maybe a new or better or improved version of the same old thing. That is not transformation. That's more, better, or different of the same thing. That is not, that's what I call change. Change is you're going to get more. If you work hard on yourself, you'll get more of something, more money, more beautiful, more healthy, more, you will improve, so you'll get more. If you work on yourself, you'll get better. And even if you don't work on yourself, you're already better than you used to be. If you think about it, your life probably, if you have time to sit around and watch TV today and listen to people talk like what I'm doing, then probably your life's pretty good, and it's probably better than it used to be if you look back. So you'll get more and you'll get better. And then, it'll be different. You'll get different things. Some of you have already speak several languages, so you speak different languages. You live in a different country or a different town or house, or you buy different clothes than you had 2 years ago or 5 years ago, or you might have a different car, a different house, or a different girlfriend or husband or wife. So you'll get more, you'll get better, and you'll get different. But that's change. That is not transformation, and it has nothing, zero, nada, rien, de nada. It has nothing to do with transformation. It's just change. The world's changing constantly with or without you. It doesn't even need you to keep changing. And you personally are not needed for life to keep changing. Life is going to change anyhow. And so when I'm addressing the difference between transformation and change today after the break, we're going to take a break in a few minutes. And after that break, I'm going to come back, and I would like to, it's more interesting if rather than me lecturing you, you actually have a conversation with me. If this is something that interests you, like that, you've noticed that you've had some changes in your life, but then there's some other things that you've noticed that you could never go back and be that way again. I assert that those moments are transformation. So I want to talk about the difference between transformation and change, and then how does that fit into the context or the idea of full self-realization? I'm not just talking about self-realization in the sense that I realize I'm a complete jerk. Okay, that's a kind of self-realization. People have that one, or I realize that I am an alcoholic, or I realize that I have a gambling problem. That's a kind of self-realization too, but we're not talking about that only, okay? Because you could have those realizations all day long. However, they don't transform your life. They may be the beginning of a transformation. They may be the beginning of a transformation. Somebody that's been a jerk all their life and mistreated people one day realizes, oh my God, I've been such a jerk. That could be the beginning of something. But in and of itself, it's not a transformation. It's just a self-realization. It's an insight or a realization. I call those insights. Insights are a dime a dozen. You've had hundreds of them, and the only ones that ever made any difference in your life are the ones that you took action. You actually made a plan, you put them to work, and you went to work implementing those insights so that they became manifested in your world and in your life and in your speaking and in your actions and in the way you walk and talk and dress and who you become known as. Okay, then a self-realization, then an insight can become a self-realization. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more after the break. I'll be back in just a few moments with Love Talk. Welcome back to Love Talk. I'm Gregory Morgan, and today we're talking about the difference between change and transformation, the difference between insights and self-realization, to take it to another level, okay? And, and obviously I'm putting that inside of the context that we do at Embrace Growth, because a lot of people say, well, why Embrace Growth? Why not this, that, or the other psychologist or workshops or so forth? And so I wanted to clarify some of those differences because it's really not the same. And so there's a lot of examples out in the world and of when somebody has taken a technology that existed already and added something to it and shifted it in such a way that it was creatively something completely different, okay? There's been telephones for a very long time. There's been cameras for quite a while. There's been digital cameras for quite a while. There's been text messaging. There's been emails. I already said that. And then there's been computers, and even small computers. Okay? But somebody put all those together and called it an iPhone and completely transformed the industry called cellular telephones. It was a completely different object. And not just a different object, it gave new possibilities that weren't previously available. So it's not an Apple commercial or anything like that. It's a demonstration. I'm simply using an example of something that took ideas that have always been around. The ideas of personal growth, the philosophical content, the spiritual ideas, the neuroscience, the sociological aspects of what makes men and women work and what makes society work and marriages work. And all of those technologies have been around for a very long time. But all it takes is for one or two people to see them in an entirely new way and to bring about something that's completely different. And that's what's happening at Embrace Growth. And that transformational technology is constantly growing and developing and revealing itself even to us in brand new ways. So in talking about the difference between change and transformation, when you want to change something, there are several different levels of change, and I'm going to go through them with you. And if you want to take some notes, I think that'd be a good idea because most people aren't aware of these concepts and these levels. And so I'm going to share them with you from my experience and training over the years through neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, and advanced neurological repatterning and psychology. I have learned that there are several ways to change a person's life or to change oneself, okay? And some of those changes tend to be cyclical, and so even though you may improve your life, you will not necessarily change your life, okay? You won't transform your life. So in speaking of change versus transformation, and speaking in the difference between insights, hey, I learned something, I saw something inside myself that I hadn't seen before, great. The difference between insights and insights and self-realization would be that the first thing you would want to change, and what people often go about doing, is changing their environment. So you're unhappy with your job, so you change the job. I'll go work at a different place. So you live in you may even change the town that you live in or the country you live in. Or I'll change my wife. I'll get a different wife or husband. I will change the way I dress, or I'll change my language. So people will often change their environment. In other words, the day-to-day world or reality that you live in, you can go get another one. Yes? You can move and change and do things so that the outer aspects of your life, the environment that you live in, is different. And that will definitely change things for you, right? If you're living in a bad neighborhood and you move to a better neighborhood, if you're hanging out with friends that are up to no good and doing things that they're just not improving your life, and you start hanging out with people who are, I don't know, going to classes and taking care of their health and making money and doing things that you want to do, then yes, changing that environment will definitely improve your life. But it won't change who you are. It'll just change how you see yourself, which is a very good thing. That leads to the next level. So the first level is changing your environment. Good idea, all right? But don't count on it to make a permanent shift in who you're being in your life. The next thing you would change would be your behavior. There was a time in my life when I realized that my behavior was insufficient to being in a classy social environment, okay? I realized that there were certain ways I behaved, which while perhaps in the Midwest where I grew up, those were perfectly socially acceptable behaviors. Maybe some of them were sort of antisocial, or the behaviors weren't necessarily the best behaviors. Nonetheless, they were acceptable within a certain category of society. But then I moved to New York City, and I became a professional dancer, and I began to be received by a much higher class of society, if you will, and some of my behaviors no longer made sense in that environment. So my environment changed, therefore my behaviors needed to change as well. And my behaviors did indeed change. And the other thing that happened is, though, by changing them, that gave me the next level of change. So the first level is environment, the second's behavior. Then I changed my capabilities. What I was able to do and what I was capable of changed. I went from being a country and western singer and a guitar player and a carpenter, right? Somebody who was very sort of in an earthy environment with a, so my environment, instead of being construction sites or a bar where I played guitar at night, and the behavior appropriate to those areas, was more a behavior of a higher level of society. So my capabilities changed. I changed to becoming I became a very professional and very good modern dancer and jazz dancer. I worked very, very hard at it, and I became capable of appearing on a stage with thousands of people in the audience. So that was a new capability, and that capability gave me that gave me access to the next level. So environment, behaviors, capability, the first three levels of change. Okay, now we enter into the area where actual internal transformation begins to take place. It's not the whole thing, but it's the door into another level, because all of those things that I mentioned before, environment, behavior, and capability, are what you would call measurable. Okay, they exist in space and time. You can measure them. They exist a certain amount. They began and the end. They have a middle. If you were to measure them or view them with a video camera or take a photograph, you could see those things. So they're what I call measurable. Outer phenomenon. This is a measurable cup. It has a certain weight size. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's no cup over here, but there is some cup here, and then there's no cup here. So you know when it's there and when it's not, okay? Measurable. So the first three are measurable. You can see them, taste them, touch them, hear them, smell them, okay? The next level is more interior. You can't see them, touch them, taste them, hear them, smell them, or measure them, but they're just as real, okay? And that is the area of beliefs and values. When you've changed your environments and your behaviors and your capabilities, you become capable of something. You gain new capabilities. You become capable of something that you weren't previously in the past, whether it's a skill or a social set or whatever it is, okay? The ability to communicate better is a real capability, right? And it's measurable. At that point, your beliefs about what you believe is possible for yourself and your life and the world and humanity is shifted. You begin to believe new things. You have different beliefs, hopefully more improved and better beliefs, and your values change. What you valued before is no longer of value to you, or if it is, it's of lesser value, and you have new values that you value much greater than those things that you may be attached to from the past. And a belief and a value cannot be measured. A value is something that you hold in your heart as being worthy of your life, worthy of your capabilities, worthy of your good behavior, worthy of your hard work. So you may value truth. You may value love. You may value honor or integrity or beauty or goodness, kindness. These are all values that are their nisses, right? Kindness, right? So you may value an internal thing that has no physical manifestation, and yet when it's there, your heart feels good. You may get chills on your skin. You may have tears come to your eyes or your scalp tingles. You'll have something that enlivens your spine and makes you want to stand taller and be prouder and open your heart. Those kind of things are values. Okay, now there's a lot of people that have values that are of a lesser degree, okay, and that don't necessarily ennoble or enrich your life. But I'm not talking about that. because those will not lead you to transformation, except by what we call the low road. There are some very low road values that when you go to the end of that road and you find out that it's a complete dead end and you've wasted all or most of your life pursuing something that was not worthy of living for, sometimes people have a profound transformation towards the end of their life or later on in their life. They realize, wow, I've wasted 40, 50 years of my life living in a belief or value system that was not worthy of who I truly am. And so they have a self-realization suddenly because they're done with the suffering. So I don't recommend the low road. I can say that I've taken the low road myself a few times, and it ain't worth it. Okay, so at some point I realized that if I wanted to live my full life and live longer than the short lives of some of the people in my family, that I would need to work hard to not only enrich my life and improve my values and beliefs, but improve the values and beliefs of others around me. That's why I do what I do. Because if you really want to improve your life, contribute something to others that improves theirs. It is the most sure way to happiness, self-realization, and fulfillment, when you can take the focus off of me, and what's important about me and my life, and I want and I need, and all of the things that you're usually worried about, which is attached to your past and your survival anyhow, and you can put your focus on what would serve humanity, what would serve my family, what would serve my community, what would make a difference in the world that I could give right now, that I could serve. When you can do that, I promise you, your own unhappiness fades so far into the back that you'd have to search for it. And what's present is that you're alive and participating. It could be said that participation is the path to health and well-being. Or said another way, health and well-being is a function of participating in life. Enough said about that. When your cores, so the fourth level is really beliefs and values, and when those have shifted, next level, isn't it true that your identity has become something else? All transformation takes place on the level of identity. Who you see yourself as being in the world. When you see yourself as being a person of value, if your view of yourself is, I make a difference in the world wherever I go, in any environment, at any time, any place, who I am is a difference maker. If you took that on as being who you really are, and it was based on that you knew you had the capability of doing that and being that, and you knew that your core beliefs were such that and your values were such that no matter what happens, it was unshakable. See, nobody can take away your conviction that honor or integrity is a good way of being. Now, maybe they'd be able to take yours away, but they can't take mine. All right? This is my core values of honor and integrity, so I made it my business, literally and figuratively. That's why I'm in a business that gives a workshop called Honor, Integrity, and Mastery. That's why I'm in the business of having that be present wherever I go. And it's not a popularity contest. I'm not trying to be liked. I'm not even trying to make money at it, although I do. But it's beside the point. The point is that wherever I go, whatever I do, I just took it on. I made it up. Nobody told me to. Nobody said, hey, you should go do this. I made it up. So because it came from my own core values. So that may be if you have a core value of your own, it may be beauty, it may be truth, it may be goodness, it may be any expression of those paths to self-realization. I think it's obvious, and if it's not, I'm going to say so. It's obvious that there are certain paths that lead to what you could call enlightenment, self-actualization, full self-realization, full self-expression, well-being, prosperity, abundance. There are certain paths that lead to that, and there are other paths that clearly do not. Okay? And I can name 3 of them right off the bat. And to me, throughout history, and the Greeks agreed upon this as well, there's beauty, goodness, and truth. Those were considered by the Greeks and by other cultures, I'm sure, as the three noble paths. Okay, the paths that lead to self-realization. If you pursue beauty, not just the superficial beauty, but the expression of beauty in your life, any one path would be fine. Then goodness and truth will follow. If you pursue truth, and I'm not talking about this dogmatic, everything's got to be a certain way. No, just pursue truth, not knowing what it is. Not like there's a truth out there and I'm going to find it, or I'm going to teach it or tell it. No, there's a truth that is right now, and I'm discovering it at each moment, like what's true for you right now. If you can actually be authentically in truth at all times, like on the path of truth, then you will find that truth opens up for you, and that it reveals itself in more and more ways, and that you would become known as a person who walks the path of truth. Even if it was just a subconscious knowing, people would know that you were somebody who was true. And wouldn't it be normal that beauty and goodness would follow? And the same is true. Many people have just been good all their life. They're just good people. It's just good. And what is true and what is beautiful will follow wherever they are. So that's my little insight into, if you really want to have a shift in your identity, then begin to discover your own core beliefs and values. And when you discover, I mean, everybody loves goodness, beauty, and truth, but I mean, there may be one of those that calls to you more in particularly, you see, than the others, that feels stronger, that resonates with you. Like when there's, for me, when there's no truth present, when there's falsity present, it bothers me. It just bothers me, and and I'm willing to fight for it. It makes me mad. It makes me sad. Then it makes me mad, and I want to bring it forth. You see, I can't put up it. And then when truth is there, when truth is present, I feel satisfied. I get chills. I'm glad it's there. It's an expression of me. You see, it's and whether I brought it forth or not, but you recognize it because you're looking for it. You see, and then for some others, it may be, that's not the most important for me. It's goodness or truth or beauty. You see, so discover your own path. I'm not here or anywhere at Embrace Growth to tell you the path to take. I'm here to put some light on the path, to enlighten the path, so that you can walk your own path, so that you can find your own path. You know, to share enlightenment is to simply shine some light on an area that may have been in the dark. It may have been unconscious or covered up for you. And if I can bring some consciousness or awareness to that area of your life, you now have a choice. You see, you now have a choice to either pursue your own path or to ignore that. Then in that case, I would say you should examine your values. You should examine your beliefs. What do you believe that would have you not pursue your own self-realization, your own self-fulfillment, your own path in life? You know, people, I believe, that only follow a guru or a teacher or somebody like that have a fundamental belief that they're not good enough, or they're not smart enough, or that they're not developed enough, that they don't have the capability. See, they believe that they're incapable. So you have to develop the capabilities, and that takes work. You know, you don't go from being a carpenter to a dancer to a teacher of truth and integrity without some work. It's a lot of hard work. So if you're willing to work and have your life be about what your core values and your true beliefs are anyhow, then naturally your own truth will open up for you. If you're intent on behaving like those things aren't important, and that life is just about this superficial thing, about making some money and having some sex and being well thought of by others and appearing to be greater than you really are, if you want to stay on that sort of phony level of life, well then, get used to the environment, because it usually doesn't get better. it may get better for a while, but then it disintegrates, okay? And that because you will not have increased your abilities or your capabilities, and you will have never examined your core beliefs and values, so that you will never actually know who you are. So you'll have a false identity. And here's the very next level of transformation. And by the time you've had these kind of insights, it opens up to something. And I'm going to tell you this, even people who are on the path of self-realization, self-discovery, learning who they are and what they're all about, many of them rarely reach the next level of that I'm going to talk about, the next level of transformation. And that level of transformation most people don't talk about, and for very good reason. It is said in the Buddhist community or in the Taoist community and many others, those who say don't know, and those who know don't say. Now, why is that? Because the truth can never actually be said. The most you can do is point at the truth and let others find their own. Anybody who claims to be the holder of truth, especially those who claim to be the only holder of the only truth, are false prophets. Sorry if I disillusioned you in any way or insulted you in any way, but a false prophet will always say, I have the truth and the only truth, and everybody else is false, and in fact, we should get rid of them because they're preaching false truth, so let's go get them, right? And that's so I've just blanketly insulted every religion. I realize that. But every religion, for the most part, has at their center, at their core, at their heart, somebody who had actually had a true self-realization at some point, a true insight, a true shift in their identity, and in which they had a spiritual transformation, a divine opening into their purpose in life, and they put forth that they wanted to tell the truth in such a way that it would change the world. Isn't that what so many people say they want to do? I want to change the world. I want to change the world. Probably you have. Most of you, if you've watched this show up until now and you're still watching, I assert that you, dear viewer, have deeply in your heart, and maybe even in your life right now, not so deeply, but it's what you're doing. You want to change the world, and you're looking for a way to do that, and you always have been, and you're restless about it, and it drives you. It drives you to think deeper than you've ever thought before. It drives you to examine, what is the purpose of my life, and who am I really, and what is my true gift that I have to offer to the world. I assert that if you're watching this show and hearing these words, it's no accident. You didn't just sort of coincidentally turn on the station and end up hearing these words. So whether you're watching the live show that I'm doing right now, or whether you're watching a recording of this show 100 years from now, or 5 weeks from now, or tomorrow, or tonight, when they replay it at 1:30 in the morning, it's no accident. You heard it when you were ready to hear it, and you brought this into your own existence because you needed to hear that from somebody. Now, I'm not saying that this is the truth with a capital T, and I'm certainly not saying that I'm the only one that has this truth, because I don't. There are people that have known this throughout the centuries, known that there is a truth that is to be discovered by each and every human being. And it doesn't matter whether you come from Zoroastrianism or Christianism or Buddhism or Judaism or Islam, or it doesn't matter which direction that you come from. When you arrive there, you find that all of the teachers have been pointing to the same thing, saying it in their own words, in their own way, and then others, hearing those words, went and turned it into an ism, turned it into a religion, turned it into the only way, And so, if you, live way over here in Australia and you want to get to New York, then there's a way that's probably the best way to go. But that would be different than the way of somebody who, say, lived in France or England, right? That wouldn't be the same way. It'd be another way, right? And they would say that's the best way to go because it's shorter, it's quicker, it's the wrong way. I wouldn't go the way they go from there. So this has been happening throughout time. If you wanted to get to the truth, your access was whatever was available to you at the time. So I'm just going to briefly cover the different areas of change and transformation so that you can begin to see for yourself that change is inevitable. It's always been happening anyhow. It's going to happen whether you participate in it or not. Some of the things that are going to change are you're going to get happier or more unhappy. You're going to get older. You're going to get more or less money. You're going to become more or less beautiful. You're going to, do you see what I'm saying? So change is going to happen either way, whether you work on it or not. Change is happening all the time. And transformation begins to take place on the level of your beliefs and values when you begin to shift your beliefs and examine your values, because your values, you have values. And if I got out a list of values, there'd be, I don't know, I think the last time I did this, we came up with about 52 different values, words in the English language that you could call values. And you could pick 20 of them easily, right? If you gave that sheet of paper with 52 values on it, said pick only put a circle around the ones that really you feel them. They're the ones that are important to you, okay? Most people would put a circle around at least 10 or 20 of them, right? And then if I said, now, just narrow it down to 3, they would struggle with that for a while. But then if I said, what's the one that you would trade all the others for, then they get down to it. So you have a core value. You just never examined it. You've never taken the time to find out what it is. I'm going to go ahead and take this call. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
This is Pam.
Hi, Pam.
I turned on my TV.
Mm-hmm.
I was very, I was listening to your interesting talk regarding growth, self-growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm in a situation that I thought, I do have growth, and I have basically, I've done many things like
mm-hmm.
yourself
mm-hmm.
in my life, and I thought, I was moving forward.
Yeah.
But just recently, I feel that I can't go forward.
Yeah. What has happened? Something happened.
Well, I'm divorced.
Okay,
I've been divorced
that happened.
For 9 years.
Okay, that happened 9 years ago. But is that when you stopped growing?
No.
Okay, no, you kept growing, and then something else happened. What else happened?
Chance, or I couldn't afford to basically stop growing. I had to be for my kids, and I had to leave all my needs and my.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of breath. I had to leave all my needs aside for my kids, to take care of them, to educate them. They're both grown
mm-hmm.
up and professional. And I have grown by myself. I did many things in my life. To be quite honest, I've achieved whatever I wanted in my life.
Yeah.
On my own,
yes.
without anyone. And I raised 2 beautiful kids, which they are very successful.
Congratulations.
Me, not others, but many friends envy me because of my kids. But right now, I'm in a stage of my life that I'm stuck. Go forward. To be quite honest, those years, when you are...
Are you working out or something? Because you keep being out of breath. Are you climbing some stairs or something?
No, I'm sitting. I'm just... it's just some sort of anxiety, but I
got it. So are you? Let's manage that for a second. Are you nervous being on TV and talking?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So you got that. You can manage that, right?
I can manage
Yeah.
it. I mean,
And then,
that's.
yeah, but sometimes it's something's running in the background that you don't even notice it, but it's giving you a physical sensation. So
No, there's nothing running here. It's very quite quiet.
okay, no, I mean it's something running in the background of your own programming, like oh, I'm just nervous, and I don't want to say that I'm nervous, but I'm nervous or something. And then once you identify it, you've managed it. It's done. You might notice that you'll quit being out of breath.
Yeah, yeah. May I continue?
Yes, of course.
I have achieved whatever I wanted in life.
Yes,
but
got that.
those years that I was doing those things, noon,
Yes.
girl, well, in many ways, very well educated. But the thing is, I dreamed, and I followed my dream. Many people who do have a self-growth, they do dream, they do have plan, they do have something in their mind to look forward.
Yes.
These years I had something to look forward. Right now I feel I failed. I did not fail my children.
Yeah.
I failed myself.
Okay.
Yeah. I basically found my identities in on my ex, my children.
Yes.
Devoted myself to them, and and now I know whatever I did, I can go to myself inside of me and think about what I've done.
Yes.
What I've done, even when I was a child, when I was growing up, I was looking up to my dad, looking for approval.
Yeah.
To other people to basically say, I wanted to show them, not anybody say anything. I wanted to prove to everyone,
so
everybody that I'm quite capable.
Let me just step in right there, okay?
And
can I step in there for a second? I want to contribute something to you, because partially because I only have a few minutes left in the show, but also I want to be able to give you some feedback so that maybe it'll make a difference with you in your life, right? So you've become a very capable person using the model that I've been giving you about change happening on the level of environment, behavior, and capabilities. Those are changes that you've made. You've changed your environment. You got a divorce, right? You changed your behavior. You started being both mother and father to your children. You changed your capabilities. You found out that you had things that you could do that you didn't even know you could do, right?
Yes.
All of those things happened, and it gave you a certain result. And you did this because you believed it was the right thing to do, and I'm certain that it was. I don't question that. Raising your children and having them be successful in their lives and supporting them in getting them to college or whatever it was that you had to do, you did that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you had. I don't know that I could do that. If I had to, I could. I have put my son through college, okay, and he's an architect now, and from a previous marriage years ago, and so hey, I did that, and he's now it's up to him to be successful. It's not my problem. It's his, right? I don't concern myself with his success or failure. I'm certainly interested in it, but it's not my problem. It's his. He's an adult man. It would be almost insulting and disrespectful for me to interfere with his success at this point, unless he specifically asked for my advice and said, "Can you tell me how to do this or what to do?" I'd give my best, like I would any man. Right? Any man. I wouldn't go interfere with a man's business unless he asked me to. So I give him that respect. Now, what we're looking at now, though, is you're saying, I feel stuck. And that's what I want to
I'm stuck.
Press forward with you a little bit. Now, if I was to come and video your life right now and take a picture of your life, would I see any stuckness?
Yes.
What would I see? Was your feet tied to the floor? Is your arm glued to the table? I mean, how would I see that you're stuck? How would I know by looking that you're stuck?
You're asking me a question, right?
I am. What would I observe?
What you would see is a person that was sitting and doing nothing. I'm not ambitious. I don't forward. In the morning when I wake up, I feel, I don't feel to see the light. feel depressed, and I feel that I have been betrayed, and I, specifically by my children, that I have devoted my life to them. They are going towards somebody who has been quite irresponsible, means others their dad, and abandoned me and disrespected me, and they call him fun, the person who did the zero things in their lives, and they go to him, and he is now is proud and getting a credit for all the work I've done, which is, I'm not trying to show off. I don't want anything from my kids except respect and acknowledgement.
Okay.
And
now everything that you've said, respect, acknowledgement, credit, abandon, what were some of the others?
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
They have something in common, all of those words.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that they are immeasurable. You cannot actually quantify them. They don't exist except in language. So it is a belief that you have been abandoned. What's happened in the real world is they went over and they said this, that, or the other, and they didn't go over to your house and say this, that, and the other, and say, God, you're the greatest mom ever, and I'm going to go tell everybody in the whole world, and especially my father, how much you did for us, and I'd be nothing without you, and thank you for, devoting years and years and decades of your life and time and energy and love and devotion to make sure that I had everything I need to be the success that I am today, and I am because of you, and I'm going to make sure the whole world knows it. They didn't do that, right?
No, that's not true.
They did do that?
No, this is not true. I did not ask them to do that.
No, wait. I didn't say you asked them to.
No.
I said they did not do that.
In reality, the treatment I received.
Well, I understand, but they didn't do what I just said, right? If I videoed your life and photographed your life and put a tape recorder there, I wouldn't find them saying that, is my point. The fact that they didn't do that is measurable, and I exaggerated and I did all that stuff. But the fact that they didn't acknowledge you, that's measurable. They either did or they didn't, and you would be the first to know, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't have an experience of being acknowledged and appreciated, and you have the experience that somebody else is being acknowledged and appreciated instead, and that hurts. Now, the hurt is very real, right? The hurt is real. You couldn't see it. I mean, like if we cut you open, we wouldn't see where it hurt, but it hurts.
Yes.
And that's a very real feeling, and you need to respect that feeling. That's very real. Now, that hurt is given to you, and this is the part, and I'm out of time, but I'm going to give this part to you. That hurt is a result of a value that you have called, hey, when you give somebody something, they say thank you. When you devote your life to something and it turns out, it should turn out for me too, or whatever that belief is. It's a value that you have, and it's a belief that it should be that way. And that's where we go wrong, so many of us. A belief is something that, without evidence, you are convinced is true, and you're willing to produce evidence to even prove that it's true. Okay? You're not sure, but you believe it's true, and you're willing to produce evidence. So you have a belief called, this ain't right, this sucks, it's not how it's supposed to be, that kind of thing. You have that belief. And you're willing to produce evidence for that to show that it's true. That's a belief. Okay?
Yes.
Now, it is not an empowering belief. And my evidence for that, my measurable evidence for that, is I would see a person sitting on a chair not doing anything with their life. I could show days of video of that, right? If I was saying, this person's not doing anything with their life, and my evidence for it is they keep sitting in that chair 8 hours a day and doing nothing, or they get up late, or whatever it is, right? I would have some video evidence of that you're not doing anything. And this is the proof that she believes something else, right? So you don't believe that, like, hey, so what? hey, my children, I gave them all I got and I expect nothing in return. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't care if they would say their dad did that. I know in my own heart, my own value, I know who my value is, and nobody could ever take that away from me. And I want you to know that I'm speaking from my own experience, okay? Because I have a 42-year-old son who is a successful architect, and it wasn't until just about a week before Christmas that he finally called me, and hadn't talked to me in years because he's off being successful and living in France and like that, called and told me I would be nothing without you. It finally hit him at 42 years old, okay? I didn't realize this about my father till I was about 45, so I think he's doing good, right? Your kids may never say thank you in the way that it would be appropriate to what you really deserve. And they may never, you know, and that would be sad for them, really, more sad for them than it is for you. And they may be in their 40s before they finally hits them one day. You know, after they've raised some kids themselves and had a thankless life, they may suddenly go, oh my God, this is what I did to my mom. They may do that, and they may never. But you know what you did, yes?
Yeah, I know what I did. But
and so now I'm asking you, can you have a belief?
Nobody, I have no one in my life. I live on my own. I have no one in my life, and I'm basically, I look around and I feel that, you know, another person, this is the comment they have made, that, oh, Dad got on with his life, Dad is a winner, Dad this and that, you didn't. I devoted my life. Okay,
listen, I'm sorry to tell you, but I got to move on too, and it's not because I don't love you, it's just I'm out of time on the show. So you can, and I hope you'll laugh with this, you know, have a life of bichore bad bar about that, or you could get on with your life too. Okay?
I don't know.
You could shift your core beliefs to, hey, now it's my turn. Those ungrateful kids are out of here, and I've got a chance to have an extraordinary life. I've got money, time, and energy to do that, and I'm going to get on with my life because I'm worth it, because I have value, because I'm somebody that wants to make a difference in the world. And you could also grant yourself knowing that you did make a difference with them. You made a difference with them. Okay? Now, I hope that this has helped you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I hope that you will take the time and love yourself enough to go to one of those women-only workshops, because they are freaking extraordinary. And all of this, that'll get handled in the first day.
Yeah.
Okay? All of this will be gone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Very much.
All right. Thank you for watching the show, and I hope to speak with you again.
Yeah. Take care, dear.
Good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Love Talk. I'll see you back here again next week on Love Talk.